Welcome to our videocast on labor relations in the healthcare setting. Today, we will examine various federal and state labor acts and their impact on the employee-employer relationship. We will also discuss the rights and responsibilities of unions and management, highlighting the importance of fair treatment and decision-making. Furthermore, we will outline a patient's rights when labor disputes occur, emphasizing the need for consistent quality care. Understanding these elements is crucial for healthcare leaders who must balance workforce stability and patient advocacy. Join us as we explore these topics to ensure responsible, patient-centered management in the face of labor challenges. Welcome to our segment on federal and state labor laws. Federal laws typically take priority when they conflict with state provisions, safeguarding universal standards nationwide. However, state regulations can surpass federal requirements if they are more stringent, thereby providing broader protections for workers. Understanding this balance between federal precedents and state specificity is essential for maintaining lawful workplaces and fostering harmonious labor relationships. Let us explore the interplay of these statutes and their practical implications. The United States Department of Labor is a cabinet-level agency that safeguards the welfare of wage earners through enforcing fair labor policies. By setting standards for working conditions, the department fosters safe and equitable workplaces across industries, including healthcare. Emphasizing career development and employment growth ensures better opportunities for employees while promoting ethical labor practices. For healthcare management, adherence to these regulations is critical, as patient outcomes and organizational success depend on a stable, well-supported workforce. Compliance with wage, hour, and safety standards also helps mitigate legal risks and fosters quality care. Ultimately, the Department of Labor's policies shape healthcare operations, influencing staffing, budgeting, overall workforce satisfaction, and patient outcomes. The National Labor Relations Act, enacted in 1935, serves as a cornerstone in defining fair labor practices for businesses involved in interstate commerce. It specifies actions by both employers and employees that qualify as unfair labor practices and establishes procedures for formal hearings on related complaints. Over time, the Act has undergone significant modifications through the Taft-Hartley Amendments of 1947 and the Landrum-Griffin Amendments of 1959. These updates reflect evolving perspectives on labor rights and collective bargaining, maintaining a balance between workers' interests and managerial prerogatives. By outlining lawful and unlawful conduct, the National Labor Relations Act remains pivotal in shaping equitable workplace dynamics. The National Labor Relations Board enforces and administers the National Labor Relations Act, exercising jurisdiction over labor matters within healthcare settings. Operating independently from the Department of Labor, it works to prevent and resolve unfair labor practices by both employers and labor organizations. This oversight ensures that essential services within healthcare facilities are delivered in an environment grounded in fair labor standards and cooperative bargaining principles. By handling complaints and facilitating remedies, the board plays an integral role in maintaining balanced relationships among workers, unions, and management, ultimately protecting patient care and supporting organizational stability in a highly regulated industry. Union activity within healthcare organizations remained minimal until the late 1950s. Since then, many labor organizations have sought recognition as collective bargaining representatives, advocating on behalf of healthcare employees. However, limits exist on the number of bargaining units. Employees are permitted up to 8 units, a limit upheld by the United States Supreme Court. Through the National Labor Relations Act, employees may elect a union to represent them in negotiating employment and contract terms. At the same time, certain practices are deemed unfair, such as excluding state employees from paying union dues and engaging in unlawful interrogation. These guidelines help shape balanced labor relations in healthcare settings. The Norris-LaGuardia Act seeks to curtail the use of injunctions aimed at halting strikes and picketing, thus promoting more open and direct negotiations between labor and management. It establishes procedures for addressing labor disputes and provides for the creation of a board of inquiry when a conflict threatens to disrupt healthcare services. This board's findings then guide arbitrators in crafting resolutions that balance patient care requirements with workers' rights. By reducing judicial intervention and fostering structured negotiation processes, the Act has significantly influenced the way labor disputes are managed, particularly in environments where uninterrupted services are critical. The Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act places controls on the operations of labor unions and the relationships between unions and their members. It requires employers to report payments made to labor organization representatives and outlines the disclosure of expenditures that may influence employees' exercise of their rights. In addition, it mandates the transparency of agreements with labor consultants who might affect union activities. By enforcing these reporting obligations, this legislation aims to uphold ethical conduct in labor relations, foster accountability in both management and unions, and protect workers' freedom to make informed decisions regarding representation and collective bargaining. The Fair Labor Standards Act establishes minimum wage thresholds and overtime pay requirements while also prohibiting most forms of employment for minors, and limits the maximum hours of employment, provides criteria for exempt employees, and allows various work-week options to accommodate both organizational needs and workers' rights. By setting nationwide standards, it ensures fair compensation and promotes ethical working conditions in diverse sectors, including healthcare. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits private employers and state and local governments from discriminating on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin in any business. In the healthcare management realm, compliance with this legislation not only fosters a fair work environment but also enhances patient experiences. Organizations must implement robust policies on recruitment, training, and advancement to ensure diversity and inclusion. Additionally, patient-facing protocols should reflect cultural competence, preventing biases in treatment recommendations. By adhering to these standards, healthcare leaders limit legal risks, strengthen their reputation, and promote a workforce that mirrors and respects the diverse communities they serve. This approach ensures a respectful, equitable environment that fosters patient trust and continuity of care. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration creates and enforces standards to safeguard workers' health and safety across various industries. Its mandate includes developing policies that ensure every man and woman in the nation works in safe and healthful conditions. Key elements of its regulatory framework include the promulgation and enforcement of safety rules, maintaining detailed records, and offering education on workplace hazards. Specific concerns such as handling infectious body fluids and investigating employee complaints fall under this administration's jurisdiction, as does coordination with state-level regulations. Organizations that neglect these standards risk legal liability, underscoring the significance of ongoing compliance to protect employees and maintain a safe healthcare environment. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 prohibits discrimination based on disability in both public and private organizations. It compels employers to conduct self-evaluations to confirm ongoing compliance with its provisions and requires that job roles be structured in a way that does not hinder the hiring of individuals with disabilities. For healthcare management, this legislation underscores the importance of creating inclusive work environments where all staff members can contribute effectively. By ensuring that policies and practices align with the Act's requirements, healthcare leaders not only meet legal obligations, but also enhance the diversity and capabilities of their teams, ultimately improving patient care and organizational performance. The Family and Medical Leave Act provides eligible employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave within a 12-month period, covering circumstances such as the birth or care of a child, the placement of an adopted or foster child, the care of an immediate family member with a serious health condition, or an employee's inability to work due to a serious health issue. It prohibits employers from canceling health insurance during leave and mandates that upon return, employees must be reinstated to the original or an equivalent position with equivalent compensation, benefits, and working conditions. For healthcare management, adherence to these provisions ensures workforce stability, compliance with legal obligations, and an environment that supports employee welfare and patient care. State labor laws differ across the nation, covering union security contracts, right-to-work laws, wage and hour requirements, child labor restrictions, and workers' compensation for injuries or job stress. In the healthcare sector, compliance with these regulations is vital for ensuring a stable workforce, fair compensation, and safe working conditions for employees. In North Carolina, a right-to-work state, employees cannot be compelled to pay union dues or fees as a condition of employment, shaping the collective bargaining environment. Healthcare managers must be attentive to state-specific wage and hour rules, as well as child labor provisions for any younger workforce participants. Equally important is understanding workers' compensation guidelines to appropriately manage workplace injuries or stress-related claims. By staying informed about these varying laws, healthcare leaders protect both staff well-being and patient care. Workers are entitled to organize and engage in collective bargaining to negotiate employment terms, wages, and working conditions. They also have the right to solicit and distribute union information, ensuring that colleagues are informed about union-related initiatives. Picketing serves as a visible demonstration of solidarity and demands, while the option to strike provides a final recourse in unresolved disputes with employers. These rights collectively empower employees to collectively voice their concerns, seek fair treatment, and push for safer, more equitable workplaces, particularly in high-stakes environments like healthcare, where staff well-being and patient outcomes are closely intertwined. Management holds certain rights when navigating labor relations. They can require strike notices, allowing time to prepare for potential work stoppages, and may hire replacement workers to ensure continuity of operations. Union activity can be confined to designated areas, and employees may be prohibited from engaging in union-related activities during scheduled work hours. Furthermore, supervisors, often viewed as part of the employer's management team, are typically barred from union participation. These prerogatives help maintain operational stability and clear lines of authority, especially important in healthcare settings where uninterrupted patient care is a priority and managerial oversight must remain distinct from represented workforce activities. Patient rights hold primacy over any labor management considerations. ensuring that individuals in care settings are protected regardless of union or employer disputes. This encompasses the right to privacy, which demands the safeguarding of personal information and sensitive medical records, and the right to well-being, calling for uninterrupted, high-quality care. Even during times of labor unrest, healthcare organizations are obliged to preserve confidentiality and maintain appropriate staffing levels to prevent adverse patient outcomes. By prioritizing these fundamental rights, healthcare providers uphold their professional obligations, demonstrating that patient advocacy remains at the heart of the care environment, regardless of employment-related negotiations. An affirmative action plan entails proactive measures to ensure equal employment opportunities for all, particularly for federal contractors and subcontractors. It bars discrimination based on age, race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, requiring systematic collection and analysis of demographic data from job applicants. Handbooks and manuals must include a non-discrimination clause, and documented proof of adherence to these guidelines demonstrates compliance. If an organization fails to meet these requirements, it risks losing federal funding. In healthcare settings, implementing an equal employment opportunity or affirmative action program promotes diverse staffing, fosters a culture of inclusion, and aligns with the ethical obligations to serve varied patient populations effectively. An injunction is a court-issued directive compelling an individual or group to either perform or refrain from a specific act. Those who fail to obey such an order can be held in contempt of court and face legal consequences. Historically, employers were quick to use injunctions in labor disputes to halt strikes or picketing by workers, aiming to maintain operations and avoid disruptions. Over time, access to injunctive relief became more circumscribed, reflecting an effort to balance employers' interests with workers' rights to organize and protest. In the healthcare environment, any injunctive action must also consider patient well-being, reinforcing the sector's unique obligations. When administering a collective bargaining agreement, both parties must act in good faith, ensuring honesty, fairness, and respect throughout the process. Supervisors play a pivotal role and should thoroughly understand the agreement's provisions to consistently apply them in the workplace. Meticulous record keeping is essential for tracking compliance, documenting any issues, and supporting transparency. Clear grievance procedures offer a structured path for resolving disputes, helping maintain trust and stability within the workforce. If disagreements remain unresolved, arbitration provides a neutral avenue for final decisions, reinforcing the agreement's credibility and minimizing disruption to core healthcare services. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act encourages the hiring and continued employment of older individuals by protecting them from unjust treatment based on age. To establish a preliminary prima facie case of discrimination, the individual must first belong to a protected age group. Next, they should demonstrate they were qualified for their position and yet were discharged. Finally, determination must have occurred under circumstances suggesting age played a role in the decision. Recognizing these criteria helps employers and employees alike maintain equitable workplace practices, ensuring that experience and capability, rather than age, determines someone's opportunity and status in the organization. The Americans with Disabilities Act was enacted by Congress to combat discrimination against individuals with disabilities, ensuring they receive the same rights and opportunities as those without disabilities. Its core purposes include establishing a comprehensive mandate to eliminate discriminatory practices, setting strong and consistent standards that address such discrimination, and placing enforcement authority with the federal government. By invoking the scope of congressional power, the legislation ensures nationwide protections for those with disabilities. Within the workplace, organizations must make reasonable accommodations and refrain from policies or actions that marginalize qualified employees. In healthcare, this means adapting facilities, resources, and practices to promote equitable access and uphold ethical obligations to all. Workplace discrimination can manifest in various ways, including different treatment based on national origin, race, religion, or sex. Pay discrimination involves unequal compensation for employees performing the same or substantially similar work, undermining the principle of equal pay for equal work. Pregnancy discrimination denies pregnant employees the same rights and opportunities as others, potentially jeopardizing their careers and well-being. Employers also have a duty to accommodate different cultural backgrounds and religious practices to maintain fairness and respect. By actively preventing all forms of discrimination, whether related to national origin, compensation, or pregnancy, organizations cultivate a just environment that supports employee morale, mitigates legal risks, and enhances overall efficiency in patient-centered healthcare operations. Sexual harassment in the workplace includes unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and any verbal or physical behavior of a sexual nature that fosters a hostile, intimidating, or offensive environment. Preventing these violations requires a clear anti-harassment policy, prompt and effective action to address and correct any harassment, and a culture that encourages employees to immediately report incidents. In healthcare, proactive measures protect both staff and patients, ensuring professionalism and safety remain central to the organization's mission. In this videocast, I have covered the essential facets of healthcare labor relations, from federal and state laws and the roles of agencies like the United States Department of Labor, to the provisions of the Norris-LaGuardia Act, the Fair Labor Standards Act, and the National Labor Relations Act. We also examined the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, followed by the Rehabilitation Act, the Civil Rights Act, and the Family and Medical Leave Act. In addition, we explored state labor laws, union and management rights, patient rights during disputes, affirmative action, and various forms of workplace discrimination, including sexual harassment. Adhering to these legal frameworks helps healthcare managers create equitable workplaces, ensure legal compliance, and uphold ethical care for patients. Thank you for participating.